I think the first thing people need to know is who Nkenge is.
Yes, so I'm Nkenge Adams, and I go by Kenji, and I'm the founder and curator of Nkenge's Gallery, and it's called Nkenge because I'm reclaiming my birth name. So a lot of people just know me as Kenji with just the K, but for my gallery, it's really coming it back to self, and it's really Nkenge or Nkenge, depending on how you pronounce it.
I love how you say that this art is a personal journey. Share for us why it's so personal.
It's so personal because I was actually gifted this art, and so as a gift, I felt like it was something that I wanted to give to others. And the personal part comes when we did our Ancestry.com a few years ago, and then I realized that the gift that I was given, a lot of this art traces back to my own heritage. So we have pieces from Nigeria, we have pieces from Ivory Coast, Mali, and I realized that a lot of these pieces speak to me in more ways because they actually are connected to me.
This was gifted to you. I mean, museum quality art gifted to you. You got to explain how this all transpired.
Yeah, it was the craziest, most interesting thing. So my background is not in art curation or African art, but it's in like project management. And 5 years ago, I started my own business, and I do a lot of programming development in the community. So one of my community partners is a school, and they actually bought another university in Milwaukee that went out of business. And in the basement of this school, they found lots of different things, but of which about 90 or so African artifacts that they found in the basement that had not been seen or shown in over 20 years. So one of the people from the school that bought the university reached out and was like,
hey, you're black.
You basically, yes, I got it, yes. You're black, and do you want it? And I was like, oh. But I didn't understand the depth of everything that was given or was about to be given. And then I realized that it was a lot, but I did feel a sense of something in me to say, you know what, I want to show it, I want to share it. So that's what I started doing.
And you described, they opened this door in the basement, and what did it look like?
It was just random, like a yard sale. It was just like art on a table. And I had a folder that had some information on a few of the pieces, which I have on display, but that was about it. And so I basically had to kind of scramble and kind of figure out, okay, what do I have? What is it worth? And so I've been going on this journey.
And when did you realize that this is, again, not just, oh, art, that's nice, artifacts, like museum quality, that you really had something on your hands?
And it was funny, so like, I think it also hit me in different waves, but one of the waves was just over the summer, just traveling, as a family in different cities. So I always make a point to go to the art museums or Black History museums or in the city. And I went to we were in Chicago, and I went to the art museum in Chicago, and literally I'm like, oh, I have one of those, and I have one of those. And it's like going to a Boston store and seeing some shoes, which is crazy, but it's like, oh, I actually have pieces that are similar to what's already in these museums. Like, to have that in my house and have that available to people was just something amazing.
And so talk about how you've now created this museum quality exhibit, and you're not a curator.
No, I'm not. So it's like, but one thing, my background, which has been helpful in project management and building teams and doing, working with different groups, is that I knew, okay, I need a team. I need people who are in this space, who are experts, because I want to make sure that I do right by the pieces and they make sense. So I contacted a professor at UWM who specializes and teaches African art and creates exhibits for the museums at the university. And so he's been so kind to kind of help me curate a lot of this too, and work with me and validate some of the things that I'm seeing, and then also tell me about other histories and other things for me to think about.
And then how do you connect new ideas, innovation, and technology to the exhibit?
So what I like to do is, one thing I think too is part of just my background in history is I'm a problem solver, and I like to think differently and about different creative solutions. So one piece is we're tackling the idea of erasure with some of these pieces, because initially when people, set up museums, it was just one little piece or one thing, but no one appreciated the entire the entire piece. So we're using technology for one key piece to actually recreate what that raffia looks like, using, some of it's, AI, but a lot of it's just, taking the photo and the image and doing some technology with it to make it show like what it actually would look like.
And what interactive pieces have you put into the exhibit to help give those who visit an idea that they actually can be a part of the creation?
So one thing we do is with the mask, it's from Sierra Leone, is that we also have a 150-foot screen where we actually show the ceremony of when this mask was actually used. So I think it's one thing to see a picture or to see a mask by itself, but to see a person who actually, wears the mask and has the entire, outfit and be able to share that with people too, so they feel like, okay, I'm part of this.
And when you say part of something, you've really felt a sense of connection through these pieces?
Yeah, I do. And so I was able to trace a lot of my history back to a lot of these pieces. So when we did our ancestry, we were able to track it back to Nigeria and Sierra Leone and Ivory Coast. So when I have pieces that represent those areas, I feel connected to it. And it's not like I was saying, when you're little and you go to a place and something's really far away and you're like, oh, well, I'm here in Wisconsin, that's in Nigeria. So it's like, well, I'm part Nigerian too, and I'm part of a lot of these pieces, so why not celebrate that?
The culture really is what you're part of, and it's almost like you're building the chain back, the link back to Africa. Do you see the gallery being stationary or continuously being mobile?
I would kind of like to do both, where I would eventually like to have a place, an actual gallery, an actual place for people to come and learn and celebrate art. But then I also want to bring it to communities. So part of it is maybe not the whole gallery, but maybe a couple key pieces in schools and businesses, and be able to share this with people in the community, because it's always so daunting and hard to have to go into a place. But if you can bring it to the people, I think that's really interesting.
And this is, again, you just have 20 pieces here for the retreat, but there are about 80 more pieces.
Yeah, I have about at least 80 other pieces that I still have yet to show.
To catalog and to research?
Yeah. Well, total 80, so I have 60. Yeah, it's fun. It's actually interesting to learn more. Oh, this is how it was used, and it's another part of your brain that's activated just going through this process.
So as an entrepreneur, do you wake up doing research, or do you wake up trying to figure out, okay, where's the next gig gonna be?
Well, it's a little bit of both. The gig, or just how do I keep this, low cost, or how do I find grants or funding or partnerships to be able to do what I do. But yeah, it is a little bit of it's research, and every show I try to do a little bit different. So, this show has a little bit of different edge than the other one. And I have a couple pieces here that were not in the show previously. So I do try to break it up a little bit.